What's up, guys, and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. Today I'm going to be making a track from scratch using the Novation circuit tracks and the Elektron model cycles together. The model cycles is a groove box in its own right, but in this case I'm going to be using it more as a sound module for FM percussion and synth sounds, and then feeding that into the circuit tracks, which will act as the main brain of the setup. This was a really fun session, ended up making some kind of gritty bass house, so without any further introduction, let's start off by quickly going into how all the stuff is routed. It's pretty straightforward. If I go Shift Setup, I've got MIDI track 1 sent to the first MIDI output, MIDI track 2 sent to the second MIDI output, and if I go into my settings, into MIDI, and into my inputs, I've got MIDI 1 controlling the kick track, MIDI 2 controlling the snare track. This will stay a kick, this probably will not stay a snare. And then I also made sure to set my auto in to a track that isn't track 10, because these drums get sent to MIDI channel 10, and it was triggering stuff in a way that I didn't want it to. So I had to make sure that I had precise control over which track controls which track. I should also mention that synth 1 controls this track, and then I'm just going to leave synth 2 by itself for now. We can change that routing later if we want to. So this synth will pull a bit of double duty, which will be cool. We've got some room to experiment. Also, if I hit play, that engages the sequencer on this as well. So what I can do is use some of these extra tracks to just play little arps or little simple parts, and we can build up a lot of layers very quickly. And in this case, I'm not really bothering with stereo shenanigans because there's not a proper stereo input on this. One thing I've done in the past is going into my mixer and then panning these left and right, but that gets kind of tough to remember. And in the past, I've had that be kind of an instrument of self-sabotage where I change one track and forget to change the other, and it causes all these weird issues. So in this case, we've just got one mono channel, and I'm probably going to sidechain just everything to the kick. So I've got the super punchy kick here. I'm thinking of making something kind of bass housey. So let's start shaping this here. I've made sure my track is selected. And I can adjust this volume as well, because I'm guessing this is going to get pretty loud. I want to control the attack because I don't want it to overpower the kick. And while I'm at it, let's just sidechain this. Go ahead and record something. That's just 2 bars. Get that first note. Okay, that kind of slaps, actually. Let's get some kind of clap or snare in here. And of course, 909 open hi-hat. That's a really good start. And I have to remember to save this as well. So let me do that right now. And a little trick that I'm going to try out to remember which project correlates with which project on the circuit. I'm going to treat this kind of like a chessboard and see we got pattern settings and MIDI 1. That's where they intersect. And I want a shorter version of that. So let's just call this prob or some variation thereof. M for MIDI, and then 1 since it's MIDI 1. Let's keep building here. You know what? I'm also not going to bother adding any effects to my MIDI track because we've got internal effects in here. So I can just lean on that pretty heavily. So let me choose a preset. So let's start to shape this. Woo! It's a bit loud. So this definitely needs some reverb. Run that in a little bit. That's not responding quite how I expected it to. You'll notice how all of this distortion is accumulating. So we can just have this do something else entirely. Chords might be kind of neat. we've still got this track that I totally forgot about. I don't think I need to even sequence anything on here because we've got plenty for a nice full drop. So what I'm going to do instead is change out the engine for this one. And I want to make some little ARP thingy. I want this to be nice and short. That's a little too plinky. Something a little more aggressive. A little bit of noise could be nice. So I've got these 4 notes. I want to just shorten this pattern because that's all I need. And we're going to have to make this a little more audible somehow. My gain staging is kind of a mess. So here's what I might do. I might not have that ARP play during the actual drop because I've got all this stuff triggering my distortion because it's all cumulative and that's a bit much. But here's what I can do. Just use it in a breakdown. I really like how that groove turned out, and you can see just how powerful this is, especially if you're not trying to push the distortion quite as hard as I did. If you'd like to see me make more music with the Novation Circuit tracks and other music production devices, you might want to check out this video where I used it with the Micro Freak. You can click or tap up over here, and if you'd like to see more model cycles, you can click or tap down over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit.